Hey, how's it going, fight fans? Welcome to Mind for Combat. If you're new to the channel, my name's Rohan, and this is my platform where I do fight sports related content. If you're new here, why don't you help me grow my platform? All you have to do is subscribe to the channel, like the video if you like it, and maybe hit that bell icon so you get notified every time I upload a video. With that said, this is a video that I'm very excited to make because it's a fight breakdown. And as you guys know, fight breakdowns are my favorite videos of all the videos I do on my channel. Now don't get me wrong, I enjoy doing the other videos, but there's something special about me doing fight breakdowns. It's the bread and butter of this channel. It's why I started this channel, and I'm very, very excited to get into it. And this is a very interesting fight. Henry Cejudo looks to make the first defense of his bantamweight championship against Dominick Cruz, who steps in to replace Jose Aldo, who can't get to the US because of the ongoing coronavirus pandemic. What's interesting about this is that Dominick Cruz comes into this fight with a 3.5-year layoff, maybe a little bit longer, and is trying to win a world championship off a very, very dangerous guy, and a guy who for some reason doesn't want to fight the top contenders, but he is very, very dangerous. Now, Dominick Cruz is going to be coming into this fight almost similarly like he did with TJ Dillashaw, having been inactive for a very, very long time, and it's going to be very interesting to see if he can repeat history. For Henry Cejudo, he's of course been calling for all-time greats as opposed to top contenders, so he's going to need to make a statement in this fight to show the world that he is as dangerous as he says he is, and continue to be just as cringy as he has been with his bend the knee nonsense. Anyways, with that said, let's get into this fight breakdown and let's break it down. Henry Cejudo is 33 years old, which funnily only makes him 2 years younger than Dominick Cruz, who's 35 years old. Now, whilst he's only 2 years younger in age, in fight years, Dominick Cruz, in my opinion, is much older than Henry Cejudo. Dominick Cruz has been fighting for a very, very long time, and of course he's had a long layoffs because of injuries that he's had associated to his time in the fight game, and that has most certainly impacted his body. Now, he says that he doesn't believe that that's going to impact him and that he's 100% healthy coming into this fight. Yes, that may be true, but at 35, having had all those injuries, I have to question, is he going to be showing signs of slowing down in this fight? And in my opinion, he already showed signs of slowing down in 2016 when he fought Cody Garbrandt, so this is very, very interesting. Henry Cejudo comes into this fight with a professional record of 15 wins and 2 losses. Dominick Cruz, meanwhile, is 21 wins and 2 losses. Of course, now, they've both been championship fighters. They've both fought in main events. They both headlined cards. Experience won't play a factor in this fight. They are both very experienced fighters at the highest ends of the echelon. What gets interesting is where the next part of this fight comes into, and that's the height and the reach. Henry Cejudo stands at 5'4", which makes him 4 inches shorter than Dominick Cruz, who's 5'8". He also has a 5-inch reach disadvantage against Dominick Cruz, who has a 69-inch reach as opposed to Henry Cejudo's 64-inch reach. That size is going to be very interesting, and it's going to be something that Dominick Cruz is going to be able to utilize in his advantage to be able to get a win here. And Dominick Cruz is such an intelligent fighter that I have to imagine that he has some kind of game plan in place that looks to exploit his size advantage over Henry Cejudo. With that said, let's look at their styles. Now, of course, some of you guys may have heard that Henry Cejudo is an Olympic gold medalist in wrestling, and he most certainly uses his wrestling in mixed martial arts. He's a very talented wrestler. He can take fighters down from all angles, and he uses his striking to set up his wrestling very, very well. Of course, Dominick Cruz is a fighter that has traditionally been a very good wrestler himself. He's an all-American wrestler, but Henry Cejudo is of a different caliber when it comes to wrestling. Henry Cejudo also stands on his feet real well when he shines in his stand-up. Well, what happens is, because his wrestling is so good, a lot of people overlook his stand-up, but actually his boxing is very sharp, very, very dangerous, and he's got very good kicks as well. Dominick Cruz is of course legendary for his movement, and his style is of course based around his movement. He has got good wrestling, as I mentioned, and he does go for takedowns, but his movement and his stand-up, in my opinion, is where he shines, and I used to love watching his movement. I mean, if you guys have never seen Dominick Cruz fighting circa 2011, do yourself a favor, go back and watch some Dominick Cruz fights. He was absolutely exceptional. With that said, let's look at some of their key wins. Now, Henry Cejudo over the last couple of years has amassed some of the best key wins that you can ever imagine. And we're talking, in my opinion, one of the greatest fighters of all time, if not the greatest fighter of all time, in Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson. He's beaten TJ Dillashaw, who's arguably one of the best bantamweights of all time, with 2 bantamweight world championships to his name. And he took out the former World Series of Fighting bantamweight champion and top contender at bantamweight division in Magic Marlon Moraes. And that was an exceptional performance where he finished Marlon Moraes, and that really shocked a lot of people. Just goes to show just how dangerous Henry Cejudo is. For Dominick Cruz, his key wins and his resume is lengthy and legendary. He's of course beaten Mighty Mouse Johnson right before Mighty Mouse went on his legendary run. Almost like two ends of Mighty Mouse's ledger have both these two gentlemen. Anyways, he's beaten Urife, but not once but twice. He's beaten TJ Dillashaw after his long layoff, as I mentioned. He beat Joseph Benavidez not once but twice, and he of course took out Brian Bowles in the UFC, which was an exceptional win at the time. When we're talking about issues for Henry Cejudo in this fight, his biggest issue is definitely going to be his size. How's he going to overcome the size and strength of Dominick Cruz? Dominick Cruz has got a lot of length and reach on him as well. How is Henry Cejudo going to be able to negate that? Now, of course, Henry Cejudo is a Golden Gloves caliber boxer, but you got to question, is the size against an experienced, talented world championship fighter going to really catch up with him? For Dominick Cruz, the issue is going to be his age. At 35 years old, he's no doubt going to be slowing down, and of course his inactivity. He was very busy in 2016, but really between 2011 and 2020, 9 years, he's had 1 year of activity. He of course fought Takeya Mitsugaki in 2014, I believe it was, but that was a long time ago. In the last 10 years, Dominick Cruz has not been very active at all, and he hasn't fought for over 3.5 years. You've got to wonder how that's going to impact him coming into this fight, and I have to believe it's going to play a huge role. The X factor for Henry Cejudo is going to be his explosiveness. He is a wrestler. He's got that explosive wrestling style, and he's most certainly got explosive power in his punches as well, and he's gotten the finishes to demonstrate that, punches and kicks. And of course his activity. While Dominick Cruz has been nursing injuries, Henry Cejudo has been fighting the best fighters in the world, rounding out his game and becoming more dangerous with each and every fight. For Dominick Cruz, his X factor is going to be his movement, if he's still got it. If he's got a speck of the movement that he had in 2011, Henry Cejudo is in big trouble, and of course his size. With that said, let's get into the prediction. Now guys, I have to be honest, I'm going to give you guys a caveat. If this was 2011, if I could morph Dominick Cruz into his 2011 body, fight IQ, everything, and put him here in 2020 and put him against Henry Cejudo, I would probably pick Dominick Cruz 9 times out of 10. Unfortunately, this is not 2011. This is 2020. 2020 is a time where Dominick Cruz is 35 years old, has had a long list of injuries, long layoffs, many long layoffs, and hasn't fought in 3.5 years. So with that said, looking into this prediction, I have some questions, and I'm not sure that I can answer those in the favour of Dominick Cruz. In my opinion, we're going to see a stand-up fight a lot of this fight, because Henry Cejudo has got really good wrestling. I don't believe Dominick Cruz will be able to just take him down like that, and Dominick Cruz has very good wrestling, and his size should be able to negate some of Henry Cejudo's skill advantage when it comes to wrestling. And because of that, I believe that Henry Cejudo is going to have a tough time taking Dominick Cruz down, as will Dominick Cruz have a tough time taking Henry Cejudo down. That gives us a stand-up fight. On the feet, of course, Dominick Cruz has got exceptional movement, and I believe he will look to utilise that movement. Can he move like he used to? I don't know. With his fascial tendonitis, I don't even know if that's healed by now. Henry Cejudo is good on the feet though. He hits hard and he hits dynamically. He has good combination, he has good punches and good kicks. Dominick Cruz never carried much punching power, so despite his size, I believe that Henry Cejudo is going to be the much harder hitting man. Although Dominick Cruz hasn't been finished by guys like Cody Garbrandt, who was dangerous finishers, this is of course now 2020. In my opinion, in the early parts of this fight, it's going to be a very competitive fight. Henry Cejudo is going to struggle with Dominick Cruz's fight IQ and movement, but he will no doubt continue putting the pressure on Dominick Cruz and will start to land. As the leg kicks land, like TJ Dillashaw was able to make the leg kicks land in 2016 in their fight, as the fight wears on, as Henry Cejudo has more and more success, Dominick Cruz is going to have been in there taking hard shots for the first time in 3.5 years from a world championship fighter who's been fighting the best fighters in the world. I believe Dominick Cruz will struggle. Now, I believe that Dominick Cruz will pose problems, and can Dominick Cruz win this fight? Absolutely. I believe Dominick Cruz can employ a game plan when he stays at a distance, uses his range, picks shots, pitter-patters his way to a unanimous decision. And pitter-patter, I don't mean that in, of course, a negative connotation. I mean that he just picks his shots and gets a points victory is what I'm trying to say. Do I think that's going to happen? Absolutely no. I believe that Henry Cejudo is going to be able to come in, is going to be able to withstand any power punches that Dominick Cruz is going to throw. He's going to be able to close the distance, and eventually he's going to start to land and make those shots count. I believe that Dominick Cruz will struggle in there, and eventually Henry Cejudo will be able to put the pressure on him, and the 35-year-old Dominick Cruz, who hasn't fought in 3.5 years, will start to struggle under that pressure, which he's going to be completely unfamiliar with. Fight fans, for my official prediction, I'm predicting very sadly that Henry Cejudo is probably going to finish Dominick Cruz within the first 3 rounds. Now, when I say very sadly, I don't mean that because I'm not a Henry Cejudo fan. I'm of course a huge fan of Henry Cejudo and his ability to fight. His cringy stuff annoys me a little bit, but he's an incredible fighter. And so I'm not sad that he gets the win. I'm just sad to see an all-time great like Dominick Cruz get probably finished in this fight. Now, when this fight is all said and done, I want to see Henry Cejudo start fighting top contenders. I don't want the fight with Jose Aldo rescheduled. If anything, Jose Aldo can fight Marlon Moraes again, and if he can win it officially this time, then maybe he can get the title shot, but things should move on. We've got Aljamain Sterling, we've got Peter Yan, a guy who I think is going to be champion. We've got, you know, Cody Sandhagen. We've got all these great guys at bantamweight that need to be getting title fights, so this needs to happen, and this needs to be the GOAT fight that Henry Cejudo wants, and hopefully we can move on from this. Anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this breakdown. Please comment below and let me know how you guys see this fight going. Let me know what you think about how this fight's going to go, and let me know if you enjoyed the breakdown. And fight fans, if you're new here, remember to like, subscribe, share the channel, all that jazz. Thank you for watching, guys. As always, I'm Rohan, and this is Mindful Combat.